Welcome, my name is Chris Crone. I'm the president and founder of a company called Strongbrook, and today I'm going to be introducing to you some concepts here about wealth, freedom, and creating cash flow for life. Did you know at the age of 65 that 97% of Americans do not have enough discretionary funds to write a check for $600? 54% are still working, and only 3% of them are financially secure. The Wall Street Journal also recently came out and said that this economy, we're facing one of our worst financial crises since the 30s, so the Great Depression, and they also came out and said that the home forecast is still calling for more pain. We're seeing a lot of foreclosures, and yet this came out from CNN Money. Forget stocks, don't bet on gold, because after 4 years of plunging home prices, the most attractive asset class in America is housing. Now, this just came out recently from Warren Buffett, who said single-family homes, buy a couple of them at a distressed price, find renters, take a 30-year mortgage, and I think that's probably as attractive as an investment as you can make right now. He went later on in this interview to say, as I mentioned a little earlier, actually single-family houses bought on a distressed basis now and financed over a long term at these interest rates may be the best investment of all, as he did a 3-hour interview talking about money and investment. As a result, I'd like to share with you a company called Strongbrook REIC. It's a family of synergistic real estate companies that assist people of all situations and walks of life in creating financial liberation through a successful portfolio of cash-flowing properties. Now, there's 4 steps to how we do this, and it's all based on a book that I wrote a couple years ago called The Straight Path to Real Estate Wealth. And I highly recommend that you get your hands on a copy and that you read it. The 4 steps are getting a game plan, finding, and I'll talk to you about acquiring, and then creating profit. Let's talk about step 1. The first one is that in order to improve your financial life and create retirement and create cash flow, you need to create a game plan. And right now you're looking actually at a picture of me and my chief technologies officer staring at a screen. We actually have a software that we've developed that will actually create a multi-page report that will tell any person over 10 years what steps they need to take to create this kind of cash flow through real estate. When to buy properties, when to sell them, how to buy them, at what discounts. And so right now, if you want to go anywhere in life, you got to have a plan. Now, 4 years ago, I sat down with this couple, Chris and Shanna. I've even done dinner at their house. Really wonderful couple. And in the last 4 years, they talk about how they've just recently bought their 14th home. They love this company. They love its integrity. And these are actually not exactly typical clients because our average client does 1.4 homes in a calendar year. They've exceeded that. The second step is finding property. And when you do that, it doesn't take a genius to know that to win in real estate, you got to buy at discounts, which is why this economy is poised. It is by far the very best timing. In fact, the hundreds of homes we purchased last year, there couldn't be better timing. In fact, let's take a look at this because there are millions of homes that are sold each year in the United States alone. 90% of those with this bell curve that you're looking at, they're priced just right. 5% are listed too high. You've had a neighbor that's done that before, maybe you have, right? What happens to those homes? They sit. However, for whatever reason, and there's a lot of different reasons, 5% of all the homes on the market at any given moment are listed too low. That means that there's hundreds of thousands of homes at any given moment on the market that don't last very long because they're really good deals. And this company I'm sharing with you, REIC, what they do is they help you find these homes. Now, there's 2 ways of doing this. We help people all across the country and even people outside of this country purchase in our economy. We do this through both investing in hot markets and hot properties. You see, I can help you find a good deal in your backyard, wherever you live in the country, or a lot of our clients, in fact, the majority, they like it when we take them to our hot markets where we've developed a deep infrastructure where whether you're doing this locally or nationally, whether you're using our compassionate financing program or our national leasing program, we are helping people win in real estate in perhaps one of the most important real estate times in decades. Let me show you some of the houses. Here on the screen, you've got a house in Phoenix. This is one of our hot markets. A house that sold in 06 for $304,000. Now, look at this. Beautiful home, right? Well, the insurance company says that at its price per square foot, it would cost $200,000 just to replace the structure alone. But can you see what we bought this house for? $126,000. And it's a beautiful home. This home in Vegas, another one of our hot markets, sold in 08 for $255,000. It would cost $177,000 to replace. And look at the price we got this for. If this isn't dropping your jaw, or if you're not acclimated to real estate in any way, this is the part where you drop your jaw, because this is unheard of. Buying houses for below the replacement cost when they're newer like this, you get that kind of discount, that kind of equity, and you're talking about a really strong cash flow position. Here's another home in Vegas. Same thing, guys, same numbers. These are the actual deals. In fact, last year we did hundreds of homes just like this in these hot markets or in the markets that our people live in, and we help them win in real estate. Now, of course, we've got a massive team, nearly 200 people that are working around the clock to make all this happen, because you're going to learn this company makes real estate a lot easier than it would be on your own. Now, this is Paul, who just after working with us for a little bit, purchased 2 properties successfully, and he's enjoyed the experience with us. Paul is what you'd call fairly typical. In his first year, he did 2 homes. Remember, our average client does 1.4 homes. Now, the third step of the 4, if you remember, is acquiring. Now, here's the really exciting thing. We love educating people on all their options when it comes to 401ks and IRAs. To be honest, options most people don't even know exist. We talk to them about partnering, working with family, friends, neighbors. We talk to them about how to use equity in their home, other people's money. In fact, we even have a way of helping people acquire real estate without money and without credit. And we're going to talk about that at another time, because that is one of the greatest reasons of how we are financially empowering people. Because you know what? Sometimes you meet people that are in dire straits, or just lost everything, or went bankrupt, or fell on hard times, and we are helping pick those people back up with what you're learning about right now. Now, this person is actually my brother and sister-in-law, Nick and Nikki, who just successfully purchased their second home, but they're sharing with us the first one. They said, on our first deal, we bought a home with a basement apartment. They kind of took my advice on that one. And they're renting they've got a mortgage of $908 a month, and they rent the basement for $900 a month. So ultimately, they have an $8 mortgage. Now, they're doing less than the typical client because they did 1 home their first year and they did 1 home their second year. So they're not quite on par with our average of 1.4 homes per average client. Now, the 4th step is exciting. It's about creating profit. You know, as the population continues to grow, the demand for this real estate increases. And I've got a formula here. When you take a look at appreciation, meaning, hey, if I bought that house for $100,000 and it had a replacement cost of $150,000, well, eventually you're going to recapture that. But don't forget the tax advantage and the cash flow. That's how we create profit and top results. For example, this house in Phoenix that I showed you earlier, it has a fantastic cash flow because of how we purchased this home. This other home, $285 a month of positive cash flow, beautiful home. And these things rent so fast because you're working with a team of experts and professionals. This other home has a $255 a month cash flow. Here's some of our clients, Lee and Susan. They've been with us for a couple years. They just purchased their 5th investment home. They said it's been a great experience. Coaching has been great. We've learned a lot, and we're very excited about the program. Great people that we're working with all over the country. Now, when we look at these 4 steps, plan, find, acquire, profit, it comes down to a synergistic group of companies, a family of companies that serve you, our community. And I want to talk about these companies real quick. The first one, REIC, contains client service coordinators that work with you kind of like a coach. They create a 10-year game plan, that first step, and help you coordinate and implement your plan with the team. They'll help you work with Strongbrook Realty, which is our team of experts that work in our hottest markets, auctions, REO listings, HUD, MLS, and ultimately give you access to these really great deals. The third company, Strongbrook Lending, this is our mortgage brokerage. They give you access to all the different banks. They help you maximize your lending potential and build a successful portfolio. And then our property management company, well, they step in and help you manage and do the property management the correct way. And then not only that, but to boot, we have our financial services company, which is an expert of asset management individuals that help you with wealth strategies, maximizing protection, tax shelters, and learning how to capture some of that tax-free growth. What I've just explained to you here is what I call a real estate power team. And I'd like to share what some of our clients briefly have been saying most recently about their experience in working with Strongbrook REIC.